My name's Paul O'Donnell. I'm the chairman of the Ogilvy Group in the UK and the vice chairman of Ogilvy and Mather across Europe, Middle East and Africa. Ogilvy and Mather are a large global advertising agency. We have around 16,000 employees worldwide, offices in most of the major markets around the world, work with a number of large international companies as our clients, IBM, American Express, SC Johnson, Unilever, many of their brands, etc., etc. Well, I mean, I think my mum would consider it, I'm in the advertising business. I think what's interesting is how the business has sort of expanded and moved into more territories. So advertising is still a generic for what really is the marketing services industry. So for us, our major businesses are advertising, digital, CRM, one-to-one communications, public relations, promotions and activation, design, you know, and a whole range of digital media, a whole range of other businesses around that. After college, I sold photocopiers for a while, and then I went travelling. And when I came back to the UK, I decided to do something a little more respectable, not much more, I hasten to add. So I decided to use some of the skills I'd picked up using telemarketing companies and using direct mail when I was a salesman. And then I joined, actually 27 years ago, Ogilvy and Mather Direct in London, and to actually manage telemarketing and database programs. And I've, kind of hung on ever since to today, including 10 years in Asia Pacific and a number of years in Latin America as well. So we're a global company and I wanted to work internationally, so the two fitted together. Approaching the industry without actually trying to have some understanding of it and some passion for it. And we do see people who come here for, even in our fellowship interviews, which is our graduate program, who really don't know anything about what we do, don't know anything about the industry and have nothing to say about it. Don't bother if that's the case. It's not that, it's most of this stuff's in the public domain these days. It's not hard to understand what we're doing and who we're working for and what's happening in the industry. So be informed, because that's where you're going to have to be when you join us. If you have not just left Oxbridge with a first, don't feel that that's an impediment to you joining us. We need all kinds of people in this business, and I think so often that we don't have a great kind of ethnic balance within the agency. We should have a much broader one. Don't imagine that it's a cosy white middle class club. Actually, we need everybody to join us, and people of talent, actually from more minority groups are actually more valuable to us. Don't be too picky about where you land. If there's an opportunity in our public relations business and you think you want to work in advertising, join the public relations business. If you do a good job, A, you might find that actually the public relations business is where you're better suited when you understand a bit more about it. B, there's no problem moving over time if you do a good job to another part of the business once you're inside. It's much easier that way. I think, again, it's a business where there's a good balance between having a good time, and enjoying yourself, because that's the positive energy you need to create, and working hard. So, make sure you get that balance right when you come in. David Ogilvy said, banish dull dogs who spread gloom, which he had a great turn of phrase. That's right. We don't need people who are absolutely serious all the time and focused. On the other hand, it's not. We have high standards. It's a performance culture. You have to apply yourself, and I guess the key skill is knowing when you need to do which of those two things. I think that with the amount of technology that most people have at their fingertips these days, you can be a film producer, you can produce your own ads, you can produce all kinds of interesting content. At some point or other, someone's going to be interested in that stuff. So, just producing ads, that's only a small part of the people that work in this building do that. So don't think you have to, and if you want to, fine, produce some ads. But just producing interesting content, looking at how that works, familiarity and engagement with social media is obviously fundamental right now. Demonstrating a good understanding of technology and mobile and other things. So produce some stuff. Then you have something to talk about, and also you start to test yourself. So, if you're looking to get a job and you're not doing much else, probably a useful thing to be doing anyway to keep your sort of, your creative juices flowing. But do have some stuff. When you get a lot of people are looking for reasons to exclude. So I think people are using qualifications, just like the universities do in terms of their entrance, but you're looking for some reason to actually take someone out, not because you're evil, but because you've got a big pile of people that you have to make a selection. So, it certainly doesn't do any harm. And I think also, there's the broad-based academic qualifications, and then there's stuff that's, really real production-based skills. One doesn't have to absolutely be, getting a double first from Cambridge. There aren't that many people you don't need to do that in our business. There are other educational qualifications you can get that can make you quite relevant to some of the more specific jobs we have here. And again, if you enter in those positions, there's no reason why you stay in that job. It's quite easy to progress. Survival, just staying in the environment. I actually felt quite in tune with where the industry was going. So I felt quite aligned. To it from the beginning. So I felt I'd gone to a place that was a reasonably natural home for me. I found a company that also culturally worked well with me. And over the years, you sort of, you and the company morph to a degree into one thing. So, I feel I've added quite a lot to the company and the company's culture. The company's done a huge amount for me over time. And, I've not always been the best paid in a position, but I've the experience, the chance to travel, hanging on and not jumping off and going to the next job because there's a little bit more money around, has allowed me to build up some equity within the overall, I don't mean real equity, social capital, equity within the business. I do think it's about positive thinking, which again, these things all sound like a bit of a cliche, but it is not impossible to get a job in the advertising industry right now. It's not impossible if you try it. You're going to have to be tenacious, and you have to try a few things. Don't have one strategy. Try many things, and don't set your heart on one particular thing. You may have to move obliquely to get to it. But I think if you're actually practical and you go about it, you'll make a breakthrough. It may take you a while, but you'll get it. I mean, the business is broadly growing.